Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. Hey, look, it's me, Captain Logan, and joining me as always, say it along with me, it's my wonderful chat moderator and producer, DJ Martinez. DJ, how's it going?
I'm sorry, I was waiting for you to finish. I was like, well, yeah, that's me. I'm here. I'm good.
Yeah, you know what? I'm talking fast. I want to really roll through this opening because I want to actually attempt a real honest to God rapid fire show. And I was like, hey, DJ, and then I was just gonna pave all over you and just get into my whole opening spiel. And I was like, nah, I should see if DJ's doing all right. We should check in first.
Oh, I'm always all right on
with
the show.
The moderator.
The show is the bright spot of my week.
Oh, that's so nice that's such a nice benign lie. I appreciate that. I really like your A24 shirt.
Thank you. You can't see it in this framing, but there it is.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you have that for any of those other physical media companies? Because now I want an Arrow one. I really like what they're doing.
No, I would love an Arrow shirt. Grace got me this for Christmas, and she got me some Criterion shirts, but I do not have an Arrow shirt yet.
That's cool. I mean, I have an Arrow shirt, but it's not that Arrow.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Very specific Arrow shirt.
Yeah, I have an Oliver Queen Arrow shirt about how only the first season and the first half of the second season are any good. That's a great shirt. Anyway, welcome everybody. Thanks a lot for joining us. Real quick house cleaning stuff before we get rolling tonight. We're going to do just an hour show like we have been, and I'm going to answer as many questions during the hour as humanly possible. I'm shooting for like 35 or 40. I would love to hit 40 tonight. There's no way we get to a record or anything, but I'd love to. I would feel really good about 40. I don't think we'll get that far, but I'm gonna. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't sell myself short. I'm gonna try. The last time we did rapid fire, it was extremely embarrassing. I called it rapid fire. I think I did like 12 total. Maybe I got to 12. It was probably less than that. We've got a lot of Patreon questions. We've got a few from last month that we didn't get to. We've got some new ones for this month. Leave super chats if you're so inclined and help us get to tonight's super chat goal, which is $100. And if we hit that tonight, we will, John and I will do a blind commentary stream, a watch party stream for the Knuckles show. It's absolutely the only way I would watch that show. And a few people have suggested we should do a super chat goal for that show. It's sort of like some of the newer Marvel Disney Plus shows. The only way I would do that is with a super chat goal. So if you want to see us torture ourselves with that show, or I don't know, maybe it turns out to be okay, but I doubt it. I would be shocked if that show was great. It looks like it's just more boring human stuff from the Sonic movies and a lot of bowling alley. I don't know. If you want to watch us sit through that thing, leave super chats, but don't feel like you have to do that. Of course, that guarantees that we'll do your topic. We'll do them pretty lickety split tonight, ostensibly, and you can leave regular comments as well with questions. Make sure to tag at DJ Martinez or at Films by Color. And DJ, let's just jump straight into it. Interrupt us as soon as we see super chats if those come up. Interrupt us after a question, but otherwise just go through some of the stuff you have already, and anyway, let's go ahead and get right into it. Welcome everybody. Thanks a bunch for being here. Help us out with questions. Throw them out any way you want to, whether super chat or otherwise, so that we have enough to get through a ridiculous number, hopefully. How long have I been rambling? 5 minutes? That's not too bad for me. Okay, go ahead.
Right. I've already got double digits. They're coming through in the chat with these questions.
Apologies. I do have to say one more thing real quick, which is I am doing another stream right after this one tonight for Batmay. Austin and I are going to be reviewing Batman Year 2 by O'Barr. So come and check that out if you're so inclined. We're gonna talk about Batman Year 2, which is a late 80s story or mid 80s story. It was just after Batman Year 1, and but that's written by what is his name? Is it Michael W. O'Barr? His last name is O'Barr, and then the part of that story is penciled by McFarlane, which is fascinating. It's the only Batman story I think he penciled. He did some covers, but I think it's the only interiors he did. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, somebody, but I'm pretty sure that's right. And then we're doing the 30th anniversary trade, which also has Full Circle in it, which was a follow-up to that. So anyway, that's what we're doing a little bit later tonight. Let's do it. Here we go.
Sweet.
Doing the things.
First one in the chat tonight was Dan's Den. What's a song that gets you in a good mood? There's a softball. Throw you a softball.
Yeah, that is a... That was pretty easy.
I wanna take you for a ride. I wanna take you for a ride.
But no, seriously,
Sorry.
the song that gets me most in a good mood, I almost said the mood, for what? I don't know. A song that
For
most
love.
gets me in a good mood is It's Not My Birthday by They Might Be Giants. That's my favorite Team BG song. It's from a B-sides record called Miscellaneous Tea, and I've told this story before, but that was always the song, and to this day when I do interviews, I don't do them very often, I play that song just before an interview, just to get myself in, just kind of relax myself and get myself in kind of a more bubbly mood to chat with somebody I haven't chatted with before. So that's kind of my definitive answer for that. But I'll also throw out in oldie, and I'll give you "Happy Together" by the Turtles. There's another one.
Nice. Another one from Dan's Den. Would you rather your life be a cartoon or a silent movie?
Wow, that's a cool question. I think I'm just too talky for it to be a silent film. I mean, like, the intertitles would interrupt me every 6 seconds, right?
The intertitles would take up the entire screen.
I think I'm goofy or at least typically and theatrical enough that a cartoon would serve what I do in my life and my general demeanor a little bit more than a silent film would.
Yeah.
But maybe later in life, maybe when I slow down a little bit, a silent film will make more sense for me. That's a wonderful question.
That's a cool one.
It's a lot of fun.
CG anime fan.
Hi
How do you
there.
feel about Chris Hemsworth getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
I didn't hear about that. It seems early to me. And I don't know how... And that's just... like real limited knowledge with this, because I don't keep up with that real hard or anything, DJ. Maybe you know more about this than I do, but I'm always surprised by how late in life a lot of actors get stars on the Walk of Fame, and that makes me wonder how much of it is just like, if you're really, really popular and well-known in the moment, you're more likely to get it than if you weren't like a huge A-list actor, but you've got like a body of work and a decent enough, like decent enough credibility for either, again, a body of work or one particular major thing that you did, and so you get it later in life is kind of like an achievement thing. Like, we've seen a lot of, for instance, like original series Star Trek actors not get their star on the Walk of Fame until they're like in their 70s and 80s. Why is that? Like, why didn't William Shatner get one back in the day, or at least when he was making Star Trek movies? Like, I don't know. So then my... real quick, and then we'll move on. The second part of my response would be, why Hemsworth before some other like major Marvel and superhero movie actors? Because after all, Hemsworth has done other stuff, but like that's the main thing he's known for, right? So it makes you wonder if Chris Evans doesn't already have one, because I don't know if he does, then why would Hemsworth get one first? Maybe he didn't, though. I don't know. So, like, I would have to actually look at the list of people that have gotten them before I can say, well, that's weird. It seems early. But my knee-jerk reaction is, really? That seems early to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know anything about...
Austin says they just have to buy it. Is that what it is?
I don't know. Is that just cynical Austin? Who knows? But...
Yeah, I don't know. Because I thought that was like an honor thing, you know, where like Hollywood gifts you with this thing. And maybe somebody has to nominate you. I think at one time I knew how this worked, and I've forgotten now.
Yeah,
but
the only one I've heard about at all, and recently and probably ever, was the Macaulay Culkin one. He just got one a couple months back, and that was really cool because he kind of got his life fell apart and he got his life back together, and his wife was there and his kids and everything.
And obviously he deserves it. I mean, yeah. His body of work when he was a child actor, absolutely. All right, moving on. What is that, 3 or 4?
That is 3, number 4.
Connor put in a super chat. Let's hit that.
Yeah, let's do it. Connor Nielsen, $4.99. I finally got all 3 of DC's No Man Land omnibus uses.
Lucky duck. I don't know what uses means, but he must mean volumes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he says, what is your favorite story arc or subplot from this era?
Does he mean just for Batman stuff? You mean like the No Man's Land era of Batman? God, I'm so rusty on that. It's been a long time since I've read it. I reviewed it years and years ago on the channel, and I've always said, of course, No Man's Land is one of my favorite. I'll just move on. Ideas and concepts and stories in Batman. But within that, I always liked the beginning of it when we're just establishing all of the mythology surrounding like how Gotham has been split up by different like bad guy factions, and I say mythology. I guess the politics of like the street level crime politics. That's the stuff that I always found most interesting. Like oddly, I think my favorite stuff in that story is just before Batman arrives, and like it's still good after that. But I think like and I've never known how I feel about Batman disappearing during that period, but it is really interesting to see what everybody is doing while he's not there to keep the peace, if that's even what he would be doing, or at least stop the worst things from happening. So all the some of the Black Mask stuff gets a little bit tedious, but like all the Penguin stuff is really interesting, and then just what Oracle and Cassandra Cain are doing and all of that stuff. So.
All right, thank you, Connor. John Henry, if you had to get rid of all artistic mediums except one, which do you pick?
Yeah, that's tough, and I feel like I'm picking a fight with somebody no matter what I say. Like I feel like the obligatory, because whatever your favorite medium is, you're gonna go, well, hey, now hold on a minute. Like I couldn't live with it. Like if you're DJ, you can't live without movies.
Yeah, it's just films.
If you're me, it's tough because I think it would be disingenuous to say I love every medium equally, but I'm just about storytelling. So it would be really, really hard for me to pick. Like, folks would probably expect me to say comics, and maybe that is the right answer for me. That like kind of obligatorily, DJ. Like it's a lot of my favorite stories start there or are comic book-esque at the very least, but it's also the best of both worlds, where like I would hate to only have movies because of how limiting that medium can be in telling broader, more complex, more character-driven stories where you can really get in the heads of characters. And comics but then it would suck to only have books because you never have a visual component. And comics allow you to do both of those things. And so you could have your cake and eat it too. I guess just on a practical level, I think graphic novels, comic books, is kind of the right answer for me, just because you can tell any kind of story you want and not lose anything. And you're not tied to a budget or anything the way you are, even if you were to do a television show that would give you more landscape to tell some of the kinds of stories I'm talking about that can really only be told in novels and maybe graphic novels. So just on a practical level, I guess it's comics, but I'm still not comfortable with that answer.
Yeah,
like
tough for you, man.
I still would hate to lose TV, or would hate to lose movies. I'd hate to lose television. I'd hate to lose novels. And then like the more academic side of me says, no, I'm supposed to say novels. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking of professors that would shoot me if I said anything but novels. But then that's not the answer, though. That's not really the answer.
Yeah.
So yeah. I guess what medium I would want to only be allowed to write in is very different from what medium I would only want to be allowed to consume, right? Like if all I could do was one medium myself, it's prose, certainly, because I'm just more comfortable working in that mode. So like my first love is short stories, but not consuming media, just working in it.
We got another super chat that kind of goes along with that whole
I'm
conversation.
sorry, are you keeping track here? Are we at 5 or 6?
They're in different places, but I think we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This will be 7.
Cool. We're a little bit further ahead than I thought. Let me look at the time here. We're doing okay. Go ahead.
All right, Alex
16
Barron,
minutes in.
$5.
Thank you.
Assuming they're two different people, who is the primary creative voice of a movie, the writer or the director?
Wow. And he says we have to celebrate their third super on a live stream. I'm not going to play the music, but congratulations, you've left 3 super chats. These are very like arbitrary reasons for balloons. I don't know.
Yeah, they're really digging in there to make people feel good.
Yeah, I think for most films, assuming that taking the studio out of it, assuming that there's not a lot of micromanaging going on, DJ, from the people on high paying the bills, right? I think a director at the end of the day, depending on a contract with a writer, let's take that out of it also, has a little bit more power in a little bit more freedom in what the thing is going to actually be at the end of the day when we're just talking about movies over a writer. I think sometimes, or maybe even very often, you'll see a director's voice more in a movie than you do the writer's, because if that director is given enough freedom, he can kind of change the whole thing around. He can take really important major stuff out. He can replace things. He can maybe even in some situations kind of rewrite things on the fly. Like I think the writer is, again, unless he's got a contract where he gets final say on things, or he's like actually collaborating there on the set, his voice can be taken out of it pretty easily, even if he originally structured the thing and even wrote lines of dialogue. I don't know if you agree with that, DJ, but I mean, obviously his voice is still going to be there to some degree, but yeah, I think a director can kind of pave right over a writer sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's wait for it, case by case.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
You want to blow through some Patreon questions?
Absolutely. That was a great question, Alex.
That was a good question. Thoughts on the upcoming Michael Jackson biopic? This is Unknown Passengers question.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about it, except I think we talked about this when it was announced. I think a little bit that someone actually in his family is playing him, right? Is it like it's like a nephew or a cousin, or I can't remember now who, but it's an actor that's actually in the family and it looks kind of like him, and I'm very curious about it. I'm open-minded and cautiously optimistic. I've not looked real deep into it. I forget who's writing or directing that, regardless of who would have more power in making that movie.
Daniel Davis, or Dan's Den from here
but
on
I'll
YouTube.
I'll certainly see it. By the way, I meant to review the Bob Marley biopic when that came out, because I was really interested in that. And it's already streaming. There's already, DJ, like 3 or 4 movies that have come out this year that I meant to go see in the theater and didn't get to. And because the turnaround is so much faster now than it used to be, these things are already to streaming now. Like, I didn't even get to Dune 2. It's already on Max. And I'm like, oh crap, I didn't get to see that in the theater. Like, I meant to. I just, the weeks rushed by, and I don't mean to use this excuse for everything, but like, I'm hip deep in making a movie right now, and I just have not been able to get to as much as I want to. I got Apes knocked out though, so like, that's good.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. You're doing better than me.
I really enjoyed that. That's my review. We have 2 hours on that if you want to hear something more in depth than that. But I seem to have liked that movie more than anybody else on the planet.
Oh, cool.
Of the Apes.
What was it like writing a movie script with actual narration and dialogue and everything? Daniel Davis.
Apologies, was that a Patreon question, or?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, would you read it one more time?
What was it like writing a movie script with actual narration, dialogue, and everything?
Wow, I got to talk about everything.
Briefly.
Well, I had some experience. I have written in that medium before, of course, with Spawn Year, but even before that, I had a film class in college, and I've done a couple of like short movies in school and stuff. So like as far as just figuring out how to deal with the mechanics of that form, I'm used to that. I know how that works, and I workshop stuff in my scripts in my workshop course all the time. So I'm real familiar with that. So that's kind of just another day at the office. But if you're talking about the movie I just wrote, that particular piece was kind of interesting because I wrote half of it, and then life stuff happened, and I kind of fell off of it for a while, and I had like, DJ, I want to say like 3 months in between, And so like
Ooh,
you're in a headspace, getting yourself into a world and kind of miring yourself in these ideas, and then you get out of it, you come back, and you have to find that place again. And that was probably the most difficult part about that particular project, and also because I don't outline, and I usually write toward an ending, and I'll have like certain things I think will happen in a thing figured out, but they very often change. And Jason and I broke that story a year before I wrote it, even, or maybe, I don't know, 6 months before I started writing it, and a lot of that ended up changing too. So what was weird about it was, for those 3 months, I thought it was going to end a particular way, or the third act was going to look a certain way. And then it very quickly took a turn as I was writing it, just because the characters drove me in a different direction, which is what often happens. And I say characters somewhat loosely because, they're some of them are different versions of myself, but they're fictional Captain Logans. But it was besides just getting back into the groove of it, which kind of took a couple of days, it was a real quick write, and it kind of wrote itself. And there were certain characters that are just always really, really easy for me to like get back into and go to town with. And I was building on ideas of mythology that I had from Spawn Year already, because in some ways it's kind of a Spawn Year sequel, and so that stuff was already there, and the groundwork was laid out for me. And the real quick, the other maybe kind of tricky thing about, besides just it's a time travel movie, so you got to figure out what your time travel rule is going to be and all of that. The other tricky thing about it was just deciding just how self-indulgent it was going to be, because it's about me, it's about the job I do, it's a piece made really just for you guys, just for the folks that watch the channel, and so I kind of wrestled with certain like jokes and lines and stuff, like how many people are going to understand this thing, and is it okay that I'm getting as, again, kind of self-indulgent as I am with certain bits. And I kind of just went for it, and like I did with Spawn Year, and let that drive it, and I think it was fine. You guys will be the judge when it comes out, but like I said, it was a pretty easy write, and it was also a lot of fun coming up with the horrible future of bad superhero movies. That was just really fun to do, and that also wrote itself and kind of rolled off the tongue. That was pretty easy, but I had to come up with like a lot of both ideas for bad superhero movies that haven't been made yet, and also just what the history of superhero movies looks like 20 years from now. And I really exaggerated that. That was a lot of fun to write.
Cool. Got another super chat from James Egan for
that was longer
$7.99.
than I wanted it to be, but I didn't know how to be any shorter with that. Go ahead.
Do you think Avengers 5 and 6 will make a lot of money just based on the fact of the Avengers name, or do you think Phase 4 and 5 have damaged that?
I think 4 and 5 have damaged it if they don't. If Disney, if Marvel doesn't put the right things in a trailer. And I don't know what exactly the right things are right off. The worry I have with it is, and I've talked about this a lot, who are the characters that people are excited about to go see all on a team together that will create a big event? So I think the fact that we haven't had an Avengers movie since 19, the fact that besides No Way Home, the last really big, major, important, landmark, exciting event Marvel movie, I was trying to think of more adjectives, but I realized that it's a rapid fire show. The last one of those was an Avengers movie. I think automatically people will be more curious than they have been lately, and that movie makes more money than some of those things have lately. I don't think an Avengers movie after Endgame, even with all of the baggage of the last couple of phases, DJ, I don't think it possibly can bomb, but I think that the reputation of MCU right now can hurt it to not do what it would have the potential to do if it had the right characters and if the last couple of phases had been more well received. If 5, Kang Dynasty or whatever they end up calling it, I think they've already said they're going to change the name of that. But if that movie, and I don't think a name has come out for that, but that's not Kang Dynasty. But anyway, if that movie isn't well received, its sequel does have the chance at tanking.
That would be crazy if a Avengers movie bombed.
They're done.
What world are we living in? That's crazy.
I say they're done. What would be really weird is, now, word of mouth for a big event movie after 5 could turn it around a little bit, and then if it's good and then it doesn't bomb. I guess what I mean is, it could be that whatever 5 is looks kind of lame and people can't get excited about it, and then 6 is the soft reboot, like big cosmic, we're kind of going back to the drawing board movie. And if that has enough cameos and characters from movies of other, older franchises and all of that, then it is actually possible that the sequel to 5 could do better than 5. Because that's supposed to be Secret Wars, and I think they'll do all that stuff, and I think that will be the movie that likely brings back Tony Stark and Steve Rogers and some of those characters.
John Henry, Bugs or Daffy?
I want to cop out and say both, because besides Roadrunner, my favorite Looney Tunes cartoons tended to be the ones with the both of them, where I just always really liked the kind of cat and mouse chemistry they would have. But I mean, it's not exactly cat and mouse, but just the kind of rivalry they would have. But if I had to pick one over the other, it's Daffy Duck, probably just for, if nothing else, the cartoon where, I forget what it's called, but the cartoon where we're like erasing him and drawing him back, and the kind of meta thing. But then, spoiler alert, at the end of that, Bugs Bunny is actually making that cartoon, so it's still one of those.
Cinematographic. Cap, realistically, would Kryptonians be allowed to join Starfleet?
Wow, that's really interesting.
Realistically, would these two visual things work together?
Well, there are so many different variations on Krypton that I almost have to even call that a case-by-case thing, BJ. Maybe certain the Kryptons are more likely to get into Starfleet over others. What's interesting is, sorry, he meant the Federation, right? What did he actually say?
He just said to join Starfleet.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't be joining, not splitting hairs or anything, but a world joins the Federation. An individual might want to join Starfleet. I mean, those are different things. But not to get deep into that. I keep wanting to run off in different directions, that I realize how much time it's going to take. But if John Byrne's Krypton would maybe not be allowed in, but also I don't know why they would even want to be in, because they're so isolationist. So it kind of depends on the Krypton, and it kind of depends on what time in history. There are points where Krypton looks more enlightened than other points. So I feel like maybe in a somewhat older Krypton would have a better chance. But again, it just depends on which version we're talking about. I need more time to noodle that one. That's a cool question.
He needs more noodle time. Dan's Den, what's your favorite obscure Batman villain?
Well, it's Clock King, but then that's a Green Arrow villain first, so that doesn't even really count. But that's always my cop-out answer, because everybody knows how much I love Clock King. This has come up enough. It's always hard to go back in and try to come up with another really obscure. Well, I can't say favorite necessarily, but we're reviewing Year 2 tonight, and that has the Reaper, and he is a lot of fun. And that is a somewhat obscure Batman villain now, although looks like the blueprint for Phantasm. So cool. I can't help but enjoy him on that level, but also I just love that how theatrical his dialogue is. Every time he shows up, he says, "Do you fear the Reaper?" And every time he says "fear the Reaper," it's fantastic. I'm trying to think of another really good one, but we gotta move on. It's Captain Clown. That's the answer. You killed Captain Clown. Anyway,
let's see.
I'll think of a better one.
John Henry, Marvel or DC? Thanos snap out
Oh,
of existence.
it's sorry, it's Film Freak.
Oh,
Film Freak. Film Freak is great.
this is a longer one. I didn't read it.
It's like we gotta have another like, you know, psychotic, crazy villain with motif. Let's roll a d20. Ah, he's obsessed with movies and he kills people. So, is there any chance that I can answer this? Whatever this is, rapid fire.
Well, it's just basically Marvel or DC, but he has a little bit of. He's basically saying Marvel or DC, Thanos snap out of existence, meaning if you choose Marvel, you would travel with the merry Marvel material, comics, video games, movies, TV shows, music, radio dramas. You only get one or the other.
Oh, so
John
he's
Henry
just
likes
saying
these questions tonight. He's
just saying
doing this or that show.
Which one do I pick? Is this the same person that asked the media question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's DC because I can't lose Batman. Like that's always my answer. If you ever ask me Batman, like in any form, it's not gonna matter how you couch it. DC versus Marvel, the answer is Batman.
Perfect. Do it at the end. That was great. I like that. James Egan, $2.99. What if Gunn, James, directed Infinity War and Endgame?
Well, I mean, DJ's not going to agree with this. I think at least Endgame might have been a somewhat better movie if Gunn had been in charge, especially if he had been able to help break the story, because I just don't think those guys are really cosmic guys, and I think Gunn would have let it go a little bit weirder and might have taken more from the Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity War source material, and I would have really liked to have seen that. So me personally, just with my sensibilities and how much I love the source material, and how like not great I feel like the time travel was handled in Endgame, and everybody knows my hangups with Thanos. I honestly, looking back on it, would have maybe preferred Gunn, at least by Endgame, you know? And I don't even know if it would have been a bad idea for each of those movies to have separate directors, now that I'm thinking about it. So I don't think I'm even going to go as far as to say Gunn should have directed in Infinity War, even though I think I would have maybe liked to Gunn Thanos better. But like, I think other than my hangups with Thanos, Infinity War is one of the best MCU movies. But then Endgame kind of falls apart for me to some degree. So it might have been nice to pass the reins to somebody who was a little bit more adept at the like big cosmic stuff, of which that movie has more of.
He stuck the landing on his trilogy. It sounds like, I didn't see it, but yeah, I would keep the brothers for Infinity War, because his corny, cheesy humor in the scene with the Guardians in Infinity War is my least favorite scene in Infinity War. So I wouldn't have wanted a whole movie of that. But yeah, I'm sure you could improve Endgame quite a bit.
I'm also not convinced that outside of, I don't know this, of course, DJ. I'm also not convinced that outside of the Guardians characters, you would have seen as much of that kind of writing from Gunn. I want to think that he's versatile enough that he could have, created the material that was appropriate for those characters and kept them all in character. It will be easier to say that after we see his Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not really made a superhero movie yet that wasn't comedic and about antiheroes. And this is why I said years ago, before he even got the job at DC, I want to see James Gunn's Superman, and I'm getting my wish. I also got my wish when I said I wanted that for Bendis in comics, and that was unfortunate. And I also got my wish when I said I wanted to see J.J. Abrams direct Star Wars, and we all know how that turned out. So, at least ultimately for that franchise, because I didn't mind Force Awakens, but after that it all falls apart. So, anyway, I sometimes will call these things and will be right about them, and then I'll wish I was wrong. So, yeah. Anyway, moving right along.
I just want to take Cap back to when we only had Force Awakens and just let him be happy. Dan's Den, Connor Nielsen, is there any piece of media that helped influence or put you in the headspace / generate ideas for the Superhero Rewind movie?
Yeah, I guess I don't mind revealing some of that. I'm a little bit hesitant, just because I've given away enough about that movie already. I'm afraid to give away too much, but because it's okay. So the Super Rewind movie, I've said this before, is a movie about superhero movies. It's a movie about reviewing superhero movies, and in and of itself is going to be a superhero movie. So the big influencers, for the most part, of course, are superhero movies, and the big ones are Days of Future Past and Logan. So like X-Men stuff, and then there's some other things in there too. But those are the two of the big ones.
All right.
But there are a million influences all through it, because it's a superhero rewind movie, but it's also very much like Me the Movie. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. No.
The Captain Logan movie was almost the title, but we have a show. It would have seemed like it was tied to this, so we had to go.
Well, and I'm actually, I keep calling it the Superhero Rewind movie because that's what it is. I mean, it's the movie that's about Superhero Rewind. I actually have not landed on Superhero Rewind the movie or the Superhero Rewind movie yet.
Oh,
the kind of what's the word I'm looking for? The kind of template or first attempt at a logo that I did just to give DJ an idea of what I wanted for a logo, because he's still planning on making one, is Superhero Rewind : the movie, which I kind of like because of Superman the movie from '78, and I'm leaning in that direction with it, but I still could see going the other way. I've not decided yet. The script, I think, has it that way right now, but I'm still back and forth on it.
Let's jump back over to Patreon. With it being the 30th anniversary of the original Crow movie and the reboot coming later this year, do you have any plans to watch or cover the entries in the franchise you haven't seen yet?
I'm sorry, I was looking at comments. What franchise are we talking about?
Crow.
We're gonna do. Yeah, somebody asked me that recently. We're gonna do at least the original, because I want to say it's even the anniversary, is it not?
Yeah, he said it's the 30th anniversary.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed part of that super chat, or part of that question. Apologies. But we're going to do at least that one. I don't know if we'll get to City of Angels or any of the other movies this year, because there's a lot of anniversaries. There's a lot of stuff we wanted to try to cover this year. Watchmen is a big one that we're hoping to do this year. And then, we've got like Deadpool 3 coming out, so I want to do at least one of the Deadpool movies, if not also Logan this year. It's weird, all of the things that you could do in anticipation of Deadpool 3 now.
Yeah.
Because there's so much X-Men stuff. So, you could catch up on all of Deadpool and also do Logan this year if you really wanted to. You could do a whole 2 months on it. But anyway, so I want to do it. I want to do at least The Crow, but I'm not promising that I'm going to review that new movie because I really don't want to see it. And it might be, I've said this before, but it might be the one superhero movie I skip for the first time in a lot of years.
Wow.
Or if I do it, it might be the shortest How We Felt About You've Seen in a long time. It might be the first pre-recorded one in a long time. It'll just be me in a car for 5 minutes.
You just open it up and say, don't see it.
DJ, how many have we done?
Oh.
We're not going to get anywhere near my goal, I don't think.
I would have to count them up, and there's a lot of different 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Well, that's not bad for me.
Very respectable.
Thanks, man. We'll keep rolling here. We're only at $16 for the super chat goal. So to remind everybody, if you want to see John and I do the Knuckles TV show for and we'll try to start early on a Friday and go all the way through, do the whole thing. But for a watch party, for a blind commentary stream, we were hoping to see $100 tonight to get to that. Now that we're at the 40-minute mark, I'm going to drop that back to $75. So if we hit if we hit the $75 mark, John and I will still do Knuckles, but I'm not dropping it anywhere past that. So if you don't care about that, don't worry about it. But that's what it's going to take, because I don't really actually want to watch them. But I'm going to give you one more shot at it. Okay, go ahead, DJ.
Alex Barron, what's a movie that you think everyone should see but you never want to watch again?
That's a wonderful question, and
Not the right show, because we got to think.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I said that's a fantastic question, but probably not the right show for it because we got to think about that one.
Yeah, and well, I was gonna say if you went and looked at your wall, I bet you could come up with 10 or 15. Like that sounds like a really good list video for your channel.
yeah.
Like stuff that you've seen and you recognize the artistry or the what's the word I'm looking for? The quality in it, but you just don't want to have to sit through it again. You just don't really like it.
Or a movie that is meant to elicit a specific feeling that you don't want to feel again. I think my
Right.
last year one would be Society of the Snow, which I thought was absolutely incredible, but the only movie that ever made me like literally sick to my stomach and my heart was pounding the entire time. It's a true story about the plane that crashed in the mountains and they were
Oh, wow.
stranded out there and they had to. I won't spoil it, but whew, such a good movie.
Yeah, my go-to for that was always Apocalypse Now. I've said that a million times. Where like that's a movie that I think is brilliant, and I don't like and don't want to have to sit through again. But I've not seen it since high school, so I may have a different feeling about it if I finally actually make myself look at it again. Also, Buried with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sure I could think of more, but let's move on.
I meant it gave me a pang in my stomach. It didn't make me sick. It's not like a gross movie, but it was just like intense.
It's not like what Eraserhead did to me. I think I'm still reeling from that.
There you go. But you don't think everyone should see that, so that's a different.
Well,
category.
and I want to say Clockwork Orange, but only because I know how, I can't think of a better word than influential. I feel like I've said that too many times tonight. But I know how foundational and important that movie is, but I've never been able to watch more than 15 or 20 minutes of it. Because I was just too bothered by the horrible things that gang is doing at the beginning, and I've never been able to get through it. But I can't use that as an answer because I didn't finish it, so I can't actually speak to its quality. I can only speak to its importance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's other stuff.
Cinematographic. I know this sounds like a rant, but I'm just gonna read it.
Mommy Dearest is like that. That might be an actually good movie that gave me like actual real trauma as a child. Or maybe that's actually a really bad movie. I'm not sure because I've never gone back to it. But I don't know. I have a really tough time with. Sorry, rapid fire. I have a really hard time with parental abuse.
Yeah. Is that the one with the wire coat hangers that you always bring up?
Yes, it is.
It's the only thing I know about it because you always.
I didn't remember that. I never talked about that before.
Cinematographic is mad that all of the Fantastic Four live action movies insist on making Victor Von Doom integral part of the Fantastic Four's origin.
I don't like that either.
But it's not really. I guess he says, why did they have to do that? That's his question.
Because of. It's not even a super chat. I don't even have to do it. I don't know. I'm in a rhythm with it now.
Arch nemesis formula.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, DJ. It's not just the arch nemesis formula. Have you thought about this? It's the trope of the villain has to be the hero but bad.
Yeah, inverse of the hero.
It's that. So like you've got a lot of like evil Iron Mans. You've got like Black Panther's first villain is a bad Black Panther, which works in that movie to me. But people complain about that, et cetera, et cetera.
I see where it comes from.
Sorry, the villain in the Fantastic Four movies is the bad fifth member of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. I see where it comes from. It can be daunting to try to do all of that, like set up, especially if you're doing an origin film, like set up all these space powers that they get, set up him and like as a king of a whole nother land that you've never heard of. Like it can be daunting for a writer. So I see why they kind of consolidate things. But I think it can be done.
Yeah, no, I think so too, and I'm not sure, and I hope that they do that in the new one. But like we're also doing Galactus, so I think it's also possible that Doom just doesn't even show up in that first movie.
Yeah.
But if I've always been skeptical of how much of it is just, it's too much lore to throw at an audience in one movie like you're suggesting, DJ, and how much of it is this worry that somehow king of his own country in modern day is a bridge too far, but cosmic superpowers aren't. And which, and with maybe some kind of mystical component. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's because, when we were doing those movies in the 2000s, and I don't know what the excuse was in 15 or 17 or whenever that movie came out, but I think some of it there was, we're really straying away from magical things, and there's a mystical component very often with Dr. Doom. So
yeah,
I don't
know. John Henry, if you had $1 million, what would you buy besides a monkey?
Well, I would not buy a monkey. I don't know why you'd think I would buy a monkey. Because those are very impossible to tame, and they don't smell good. And yeah, but beyond that, so not that. So I'm starting at $0, which is nice. I haven't even wasted any of my $1 million on a aforementioned monkey. It would be very tempting to get one or two replicas of screen cars. Like, I really want an '89 Batmobile, and I really want a Jurassic Park Explorer. So that's like the first thing.
You're as close as you can get right now with that.
Yeah.
Without just buying one.
Yeah, exactly. And like a DeLorean would be cool, although I wouldn't do a time machine DeLorean. I would buy an original DeLorean and drive it around as it was, because those cars are just fascinating. But yeah, that's the first thing. I'm not even a car guy. I'm just a geek. So like that's the first thing that comes to mind. Building something more like an honest to God Batcave would be really, really cool. That's a thought. Like I could get the altruistic.
You got to get bat poles. That's the first thing.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely, with the bat poles. And if not a Batcave, then like a Power Rangers command center. I always thought that would be really cool. And like really impractical and pointless, but
you just have a circle room surrounded by black trash bags on the walls.
Yeah, and maybe there's a button you could push where everything flips around and then it becomes Cerebro, because it's also a round room.
But yeah, I could. You just turn over here. Cerebro's over there. Zordon's over there.
I could give the cop-out altruistic answer and say, well, I'd give a lot to like my favorite charity, or I'd make sure like as many kids as possible like had comics to read and things like that. Like if I became a millionaire, not just I was given $1 million, but like I was a multi-millionaire, then I would be like really careful about where all my money went. And I mean, I'm not saying that if I got $1 million, I wouldn't give any of it away. I'm sure I would. But I would have like a real honest to God plan for it if I had a lot of money. But anyway, something I've always wanted to do is on a monthly basis find a really good like waiter or waitress at a restaurant and just drop a giant tip, because I grew up in that business, and I know how hard that is and how hard a lot of those people work. And I don't know, individual one-on-one is the kind of charity I'm most interested in doing.
Cool. All right, home stretch. Let's blow through these Patreon questions. Throughout each era of your life, if it changed at all, which of the two did you prefer, trades or individual issues, and why? This is SS Jerry on Patreon.
Okay, sorry, read the beginning of that again.
I don't know what he means by throughout each era of your life.
Yeah, sure. So that's all I said was just which did I prefer?
Yeah, trades or individs.
So it's complicated. For collecting, I've always been a singles guy. I love covers. I started in singles. Trades can be convenient if you actually, honest to God, have the whole story there. So this is also somewhat case by case. I'm going to cop out and say for self-contained stories, it's really nice hardcovers. And for everything else, it's singles.
Cool.
So like if I'm gonna sit down and read like Watchmen or Crisis or like the first Klaus book, the main Klaus book, any of that stuff, like just give me a good hardcover. It's all there. Anything that has like extra bits that may or may not have been like actually included in the trades, I'm not as interested in the trades.
It's a good call. Letters pages, whatnot.
Well, and then there's that too. Yeah, absolutely. But it's just sometimes the trades don't collect everything, and then you get the best of both worlds, where you have those wonderful IDW omnibuses where they put everything in the order it was released, and I would love to have that stuff. I also really like some of the Image compendiums where you get like 50 issues in one. Like I collect Walking Dead that way. When I'm done with that, it's 4. I mean, it's really nice. That like you get, or 4 or 5, you get all of those in just a few volumes, and they look really nice on a shelf. I have the Y hardcovers that way too. So I don't know, like I'm kind of done with paperbacks. It's like it's either singles or for stories that I really really love that are self-contained, really nice hardcovers.
Yeah, I'm with you. Those are nice. Justin.
He's like, but it's rapid fire.
Yeah, I can't say anything. Justin Hayes, do you all have any interesting
No, that's what I
stories?
mean. You're like, it's nice. Yeah, move on.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Do you all have any interesting stories about times you've moved?
This last time when we moved, so this is 4 years ago now, which is nuts that we've been in this house that long. We got very much to crunch time. Like we had to be out of my other house, which you guys saw me broadcast in for years and years. We owned that house for 10 years, and we had to be out of there by like 8 a.m. Monday morning, and my wife and I were up all night like cleaning it and getting the last of boxes out, and I mean, I think we got out at like 7:30. Like, we didn't sleep that night. It was an all-nighter.
Wow.
If memory serves, and that was not the best. But the other thing that was interesting, since you're asking for interesting stories about that move, was we were really lucky to get in this house for the price we paid for it, and that we didn't have any contenders, because and I probably told this story before, like when we got the house, but it's been 4 years, so you may not remember it, or maybe you never heard me say it. But when we were looking at houses, we had not put ours on the market yet, DJ. And so when we saw this one, it was kind of perfect. It was everything we wanted, and I was especially excited about this basement. And we really wanted this house, and we didn't think there was any possible way that we could get our house prepared to get on the market fast enough that we would be able to buy it. We thought somebody would get it out from under us because it was a really good deal. And like the people that had the house seemed to be, really trying to move it, and not that it was like a ridiculous steal, but it was more our price range than it should have been, and we got lucky that we were able to get it. And the people that owned the house before us had actually already moved, and the house was completely empty, and I think they were gone like even 2 weeks before we saw it. So DJ, they actually gave us permission to start moving in before we had the paper signed, which was also really lucky and unusual. So we didn't have any we didn't have any weird transition days where we were between houses like we thought we were going to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we were actually already moving our stuff in 2 days before we signed the paperwork.
That's super lucky that it worked out that way.
Yeah. I'm sorry, did you want to tell an interesting story real quick?
No, no, not at all. What would you want to do? What do we got here? What time do we have?
5 minutes.
All right.
Of playtime. Nobody wants us to do Knuckles.
This is Jay Neff on Patreon.
Oh, I'm going to apologize in advance. I saw this question, and I don't have an answer for this. Go ahead.
Okay. Jean-Luc Godard or Claude Chabrol?
Yeah, I don't know who those people are.
Those are two French directors from the French New Wave.
Oh, okay.
So I will go to Saqib. If you could reboot...
I mean, do you have an answer? You actually know who those directors are.
No, I'm familiar. I'm not familiar with their filmography though.
Okay, I don't know my foreign films real well.
I know more about Jean-Luc Godard, but I
You
haven't
his
seen
movies?
his films.
Okay.
But Saqib, if you could reboot any game franchise, which would it be?
That one we answered on another show.
Okay.
You have a few there just because of the way I had to send you the screenshots that we already tackled. That one we tackled.
Okay, cool. Jonathan Campbell, then, have you seen Penny's Big Breakaway? It was made by the Sonic Mania team and came out earlier this year. It's a retro-inspired 3D platformer, and it's pretty fun.
No, but I wrote it down when I saw that you asked about that because I had not heard about that. That means that Christian Whitehead made it, so I have to play it. And if you're saying it's the Sonic Mania team, unless it's everybody but him, but I imagine that that's headcanon, so I'll have to look into that. And I'm assuming it's not just a straight up Sonic clone. I would be fascinated to see what that guy does with a 2D platformer that's not Sonic. So yes, I absolutely have to try it. Did he say 3D?
Yes.
Oh, that's actually
3D
kind of even more
platformer.
interesting. Okay. No,
All right, and that is all of
definitely check that
April.
out.
We've made it through April.
Yay! We
And
got
then
through
there's
April.
There's some recent ones here that we can dive into, unless anyone has anything. Oh, someone just wrote a cool one in the chat here. AMC Comics. What is an idea pioneered in Smallville that you wish was in all versions of Superman?
Oh man, that's put me on the spot. Because I'm sure there's a great answer to this. Because they have a lot of dumb ideas, but you know, there's some good
Specific
stuff in that
idea.
show too.
You can't just say Michael Rosenbaum. You have to pick an idea.
Certainly. Well, and then even some of the stuff that they do works well with their premise that wouldn't necessarily in every other place, right? So I can't say
Yeah, that's
Lionel
true.
Luthor. Like I want Lex to be a self-made man in most things. But they just gave Lionel Lex's comic book backstory where he cheats and murders his parents so that he gets the insurance money and then he starts his company. Man, I gotta give that some thought because I'm sure there's something, but nothing's immediately coming to me. Because I can't say meteor shower. That was not the best idea.
Come on.
You know, I can't say make every single space threat a Kryptonian threat.
The correct answer is Mel.
And then there's things like I love Virgil Swan again for that continuity, but I don't always need there to be like some guy studying space that comes to Clark and tells him about his origins. Like I don't always need that. I'm starting to wonder as I'm diving into this.
Some guy studying space. What a great description.
let them move on, but I'm starting to wonder if I can think of any idea from Smallville that doesn't work really well for a prequel reimagining. But why would you? Because you're starting from a place of he's not in his costume yet, and so a lot of the things that you would come up with that are natural for that premise aren't going to be for every version of Superman.
Yeah. It's a good video topic. Sounds like it could be a short. Or
Connor
maybe
says Kryptonian alphabet. Yeah, that's maybe the one because obviously I love their Kryptonian alphabet. I have tattoos of it. I've had people fight me on that and say that it didn't start from that show, but I have not been able to find any other place where that alphabet was there before, and I'm pretty sure I found at some point really clear documentation of here's who made that alphabet for that show, but it's been a while since I've looked into that and talked about it. Can you guys believe it's been 6 months since I did a Smallville stream? Like, just because of the new baby, I haven't been able to sit down for that many hours at a time and do one.
Yeah, well, the last one almost broke you.
Well, and from now on, we are going to split them into 12
Yeah.
instead of 24, so I'll still call them 24-hour streams just because I have been. So I mean, it's a cop out. It'll be 12 and 12 to make 24, and then it won't even get to a full 24. But I haven't even been able to do that just because I don't want to leave my wife high and dry for that much time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you've maybe stumped me with that one. But I also haven't watched or thought about Smallville in a few months.
He de-rapidified the rapid fire.
He did well, and
He broke the stream.
So did I the last 15 minutes or so. I'm not gonna lie.
we lost steam. We were really cooking with gas there for a minute.
We were.
If I can mix my power metaphors.
We're at an hour. Well, and then you get to a place where it's just you get those questions, right? We go, yeah, it's supposed to be rapid fire, but I feel like I'm not doing my due diligence either.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard for me.
So it's your fault, is what he's saying, guys. Asking the wrong question.
That's actually exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Hey, DJ, would you give me a count and just how
Sure.
many did we actually get through? We're at an hour.
Oh man, hold on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
26.
8, 9, 10. Okay, that's respectable.
26. That's amazing. Yeah, that's
I was
great.
hoping for 35. That's not
That's
great.
almost one every 2 minutes. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good for me, anyway.
Hey, celebrate the small victories, man. Don't be so hard on yourself.
I am so stuck on this Smallville question, man.
So tune in for after this for the Batman live stream where we talk entirely about Smallville.
No, don't say that, or Austin won't show up. So, guys, right after this, like I say, like I said, I'm gonna do a stream reviewing Batman Year 2. I'm gonna need a little bit of extra time to get panel shots together because I haven't had a chance to do that. So it's probably going to be about 20 minutes between shows. But if you are so inclined, pop in and hang out with Austin and I as we talk about that book. Maybe it's James O'Barr. I don't have it in front of me. I can't remember the man's first name. I'm sorry, what, DJ?
That was like the very first thing you said, and you just like came full circle right there at the end. That was amazing timing. That was great.
Well, it's not because of the question. It's because we're reviewing that, and I just read it, and I cannot remember that artist's first name.
Well, if you say Michael W., if it's James, that's about as far away.
Or sorry, that writer's first name.
You're just listening to Michael W. Smith before the stream.
Then, no, never. And then it bothers me that name is even in a channel video now. But no, it's just really funny that you said full circle because the second story in that trade that we're reviewing and I just called full circle.
Oh, there you go. Wow, I didn't even mean to.
Well done. Okay, anyway, well, we're well enough off the rails. It's time to finish up. But thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We sure appreciate you. Hope you had a good time tonight. We're not doing Knuckles, or at least not yet. Maybe I'll open that up again at some point for a Super Chat goal, or maybe I'll pick 2 or 3 not great looking shows and let somebody pick between them. Maybe that's the way to do it next time. But thanks for folks that left questions in any form, and we're more or less caught up on Patreon, so I appreciate you guys for all the questions. And if you... Mike W. Barr! That's not either of the things I said. No, did I say Michael?
And he said James
the first
O'Barr
one I
is the
started with?
Crow creator. So you were thinking of everyone else.
That's why I was confused. Okay, whatever. I think I said Michael in the first place.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching. And we'll see you again real soon. Like I said, I'm going to be broadcasting right after this. And then there's not going to be a Friday night show like we usually do tomorrow night because Kareem Roberts is coming into town to do some shooting for the movie with me. And
so cool.
He and I are going to be hanging out with Vince tomorrow night. So we won't be able to do a stream. But and then we're shooting on Saturday all day. But I'll be back again for regular content if everything goes according to plan next Wednesday night. Maybe there'll be another fun random stream in the middle there somewhere, but I don't know if I'll have time. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you again real soon. I was Captain Logan, and we also, as always, had DJ Martinez.
I wanna take
Bye,
you for a
everybody.
ride.